Welcome to APEA Dog Grooming. Today we're going to be de-shedding and bathing this very handsome golden retriever. His name is Ozzy. Make sure to check out my other de-shedding videos. It's on my dog grooming basics, and I have two of them out there. One for short-haired double coated breeds and for a longer coated breed such as Aussie. On those two videos, I go into depth of what each and every tool I use, what it does and how it works. So if you have any further questions, make sure to check those videos out. Alright, so before the bath, we are just going to run our Coat King through his coat and try to get as much as possible, because a dirtier coat is so much easier to get that undercoat off. Now, his coat wasn't severely impacted with undercoat, it was at a moderate state. So if your client or if your pet has really impacted undercoat, it is super important you first brush them out with a slicker brush. That will just loosen up anything that needs to be loosened, and then go ahead and use your Coat King. Now, Ozzy doesn't have a lot of furnishings, and furnishings is where most golden retrievers hold all of their undercoat. So since he didn't have a lot of furnishings, he didn't have that much to begin with. You can really see how that Coat King really strips off any of that undercoat that needs to come out. So I like to do before the bath and after the bath, but the before the bath de-shed is a little more thorough than after the bath, because while the coat is dirty, any type of de-shedding tool that you use has so much more grip to the undercoat. It just grips a lot better, and when the tool gets through the hair, it grabs all of that unneeded undercoat. So Ozzy is 2.5 years old. He's a young dog, and the only thing, he was very well behaved, by the way. The only thing I didn't like about this groom was that his tip of his ears and his elbows and the spot on his side are missing hair. Like, sure, I'll show you in the video, but there is little hair on the tips of his ears, and that was quite unsettling. So I did call the owner. Then the owner told me that it was his little brother that chewed on his ears, and so that caused the swellingness and the hair to fall off. So I did put on some oatmeal shampoo on his face just to relieve any of that swollenness. And I didn't put it on his elbows because I actually didn't see it up until I was blow drying him. So alright, so now that we have gone thoroughly with the Coat King, I'm just again gonna go with my slicker brush and make sure everything is nice and brushed out. Make sure there's no knots, especially right on his chest, because that area is so full of hair because of the furnishings. that I mentioned before. So just gonna run my slicker brush and make sure everything is nice and brushed out, and then I'm gonna repeat the whole thing on the other side. So I thought I was going to take forever to do his deshed and then dry him and all of that, but it actually only took me 2 hours to fully finish grooming Ozzy. The most time I spent was actually deshedding him rather than drying him, which I thought was going to take forever. It did take quite a bit of time, but not as much as deshedding, and that's even because he wasn't as impacted. By the way, when I say impacted coat, I mean there is way too much undercoat and it almost looks like he's matted, so that's a very impacted coat. He is not anywhere near an impacted coat. So I know it looks like I'm being a little rough on brushing him and pulling his hair, but that actually doesn't hurt. Okay, so a undercoat that needs to come out is already out of the hair follicle. It's just on their skin tangled up with new undercoat. So if it looks like I'm being a little rough, it's just because I'm trying to get it out, and it's not pulling or hurting his skin at all. It's actually doing good. Like, it's taking off any dead undercoat that shouldn't be there anyway. So don't worry, he would complain. I mean, any dog would complain if it was uncomfortable or if it was hurting or anything like that. I don't think any dog would stand for it without, you know, being like, hey, that hurt, what are you doing? So to get Ozzy inside my tub, I just use my ramp. My tub has a little bar that just hooks on to the ramp, and that way I can get large dogs onto it without hurting my back or carrying them or anything like that. My tub doesn't have a door, but you know, most dogs can just jump that part of my tub, or not jump it, just put, you know, their other foot on the other side. It's no big deal. You don't need a door for all of that. I use a ramp. As dog groomers, we really need to take care of our health because we sometimes lift and carry things and hurt our backs. We bend down. We do certain movements that all can hurt our health. So that's the ear that I was telling you about. It's nice and clean in the inside, but he has these like markings, and he has few hair on the very end of his ears, and I was just alarmed by it. I mean, you don't usually see that, but I did call the owner, and she told me that she already knew. I did tell her just to go see a vet to take a look at it and make sure it's his little brother that's causing it and not some kind of dermatitis or anything like that. So, you know, just always, when you see something, always put it on their card and always let the owner know. So here's a closer view of what his ears look like. They look kind of alarming. I was pretty alarmed by it. I've never seen anything like that. Alright, so for the bath, first we're going to wet him, and that is so that the shampoo can actually get into his coat and do its job. So for his shampoo, I would usually do a diluted shampoo first, but in his case, he smelled a lot like wet dog, so I put it in directly onto his fur so that it would be more concentrated. Then I would continue to dilute and do the rest of his bath with a diluted shampoo. This concentrated part is just so that that wet dog smell can get off of him. So yeah. So I've been thinking of buying a bathing system. I don't know which one yet. I haven't decided. But if you use one and really like yours, please leave your comment down below and your recommendation and why you like it. There's a lot of bathing systems out there. Not so much where I live, but in the US there's a lot. So I'll probably have to get mine online and then delivered to me, but that's okay. I feel that bathing systems really benefit these large dogs, not so much the little ones because you can hand wash little ones, but for big dogs like him and long-haired ones and short-haired dogs, I think bathing systems are an ideal method of giving your dog a bath. So just let me know which one do you prefer and why. As I mentioned before, he really had this wet dog smell, so I am using my rubber brush just to thoroughly get that shampoo right into his skin. Make sure it's not just sitting on top of the coat, but rather getting into his skin and cleaning him out from the skin out. So super important. If you're taking your dog to get groomed, he shouldn't leave the groomer with a wet dog smell. That's just my opinion. You will have to bathe as many times as possible, or as needed actually, just so that your client leaves a nice smelling pooch. Alright, so now that we've done one side, we're going to do the other side. So we're just gonna wet him down. I haven't rinsed off the other side. I have left the shampoo on him. The longer you leave shampoo on a dog, it just allows the shampoo to really do its job and collect all of that dirt. And when you rinse it off, you will see that you get a nice clean coat. So just gonna do the same thing on the other side. Wet him down, put the shampoo in a bottle so that I can dilute it. Make sure, shake it up so that I can make sure it creates nice foamy soap. I like it when my shampoo lathers a lot. I don't like shampoos that don't lather. It's just a preference thing, I guess. It just makes me feel like the shampoo is actually doing its job, and yeah. So he's sitting down right now, and you can see all of that water that's at the bottom of my tub. It's really dirty, and that's just the shampoo that's falling off of him. That's on the other side. So I'm really glad I used my rubber brush just to give him a nice scrub, but without hurting his skin. That rubber brush ensures me that I'm getting deep enough into his skin, but I'm not scratching it or anything with you know, a metal tool like a slicker brush or comb or anything, because when the skin is wet, as when your skin is wet and you're taking a bath, your skin is more susceptible to get hurt when it's wet because it's so much softer than when it's dry. So this is about like the 4th or 5th bottle I make of diluted shampoo. Guys, always use as much product as you need. You know, these dogs come in for a bath, and a bath is what they'll get. Don't use less product, or you know, use less of things that you need to get your job done, because well, that's what they're there for, to get a bath, to get whatever other services you provide. Just use whatever you need. If I have leftover shampoo in my bottle and I don't have any other clients for that day, well, then I'll just wash my tub with that shampoo, or I'll wash my combs or anything that needs soap. I'll just use that on them. So, there's no need to use less of what you need, because it's only gonna make your heart more difficult, and it's not gonna get the job done as you need it to be. So yeah. So my tub drainage is a little bonkers right now. I'm having a little trouble with that because I don't want all the hair to go into my drainage system. And even though I do have a little, I don't know what you call it, a sifter? Well, a little trap for hair to not go down the drain. It's not enough. As a dog groomer, you realize that hair is going to go everywhere, especially in your drainage. So for now, I'm just using these very humongous bins, buckets, whatever you call them, to hold the water that I use, and then I drain it out and sift it for any hair that is in them. So as you saw, he has his hock area really damaged from his brother chewing at them, if that's what it is. I'm not sure if that's the whole reason for that being like that, because it was a little more than just a tiny bit of chewing. It doesn't look right to me. So I did, as I told you earlier, I did tell the owner. She told me, oh yeah, I know, it's his little brother, but I'm not quite sure of that. But I'm not a doctor, I'm not a vet, so always send out your clients to see one if you're not sure what you're looking at. So right now we are going to do his head before we rinse him out, because that way we can let the other side soak. And I'm using oatmeal shampoo on his head because of that ear situation, and yeah, it's a little softer on his skin. And make sure you do the head last, especially with long-haired dogs, because if they shake, well, then you will get a bath too. So we're gonna wet him down just as we did on his body. Make sure to pinch those ears shut so that no water can get into that ear canal. And yeah, if you get moisture inside those ears, especially floppy ears, there is a chance that you can cause an otitis, which is an ear infection. So just be careful with that. Apply your shampoo. Make sure you give his muzzle a nice rub, because, well, when he eats, he can get all sorts of stuff stuck to his fur. So just make sure you leave his head nice and clean, because that is where the owner will most likely give them a kiss, on their head. So that's the first thing a client does, is just go, oh, he looks so handsome or so pretty, and then goes right up into his face and gives them a kiss or snuggles them or whatever. So, you know, just make sure you have that area nice and clean and fresh smelling. So right behind the ear and underneath the ear is where most dogs have a lot of grease. So make sure you get that. Alright, so now for the rinse, we are going to start on the top of him because, well, gravity pulls that water down. And don't get me wrong, you still have to thoroughly rinse those legs and everything that's underneath, but it's just so much easier if you start from the top and then work your way down. So you need to rinse twice as much as you have shampooed or lathered so that no product is left on his skin. It is super important that you rinse off his feet, his armpits, his groin area, everything. No product must be left on your dog because, well, as I've said in almost all of my videos, wouldn't you itch too if you didn't rinse out your soap well enough or your shampoo well enough and then went out in the sun? And you know, you'd probably itch a lot. So make sure you get each and every inch of that dog nice and rinsed out. So I'm probably going to fast forward this part because, well, you don't need to see all of that. Alright, so now that he is all rinsed out, and I know he is all rinsed out because his coat has this certain feel of where there's no more product left in it, but just a wet dog. So we are going to try to like squish out any water that's left, or squeegee out, if you will, any water that's left in his coat and his legs, and we are going to towel dry. Towel dry is going to be very important at this stage, because the more you towel dry, the less time he or she has to be in the dryer. Not in the dryer, but you know what I mean. So most dogs don't like that, so yeah. So I wash my towels with bleach, soap, and a little bit of vinegar, just so that I know that there's nothing left in there from that previous dog, and that it'll be nice and clean for my next client. So most dogs love getting towel dried. It's like, yay, you're done getting me wet. Let's get me dry now. Yay! So he was pretty calm. Like I said, he behaved really well. My dogs just go like crazy when they see me grab a towel. They're like, yeah, no more bath time. So I am going to use a force dryer on him. He's not a senior dog. He really needs to, finish getting that D-shed, and a force dryer will just, get rid of any more dead undercoat that was left in there, if there is any. And always use earmuffs and a mask. It is super important that you do that, because you don't want to be breathing in all of those particles that fly off his body. Even though he is straight from the bath, there's still skin particles and hair and everything, dandruff, anything you don't want to be breathing in. So you have to protect yourself. And like I said earlier, we don't usually think about all of those things when we groom dogs, but on the long run you have to be very careful with your health, because, well, there's only one you. So like I said earlier, use whatever you need to do that job. So I needed another towel now. Most dogs only use up one towel, but I mean, this is a golden retriever. His size and the length of his hair require me to use more than just one towel. So I will use whatever I have to get my work done, and it'll just be easier for me and the dog. So I'm just gonna wrap him up in the towel so that he doesn't start shivering because he's cold, while I get my things to clean out his ears. So when cleaning out a dog's ear, make sure you have a light touch and that you don't use the same cotton on the other ear, because if he does have some sort of infection in one ear, you can spread it through that using the same cotton. So use different cottons for each ear, and he really didn't like it a lot, but you know, he wasn't snarling or growling or anything. He just didn't like it at all. I guess it just felt cold, which is understandable since, you know, his ears are a little swollen, I guess, and irritated, so I guess it felt a little cool to the touch. So just taking some more cotton, putting in some more ear cleaner, and making sure that it is nice and clean. So for the blow dryer, I am going to use my force dryer like I said earlier, and I did put a nozzle on the hose just to make it a little more powerful, if you will. Just that ensures that I can get deep into his skin and make sure that he is thoroughly dry. Even though it is sunny, it still rains in the evening, so I don't want to leave him moist. And I'm going to start off by blow drying the top of it on his top line. So on a breed like a golden retriever, you don't want to be blowing against the hair because that's more of a fluff drying, and he's not that kind of breed. So you would maybe do that on a poodle to straighten the hair, but on a golden retriever you just want to go with the lay of the coat as much as you can. You still have to, you know, go back and forth, but try to do everything with the lay of the coat so that it dries and, you know, falls flat on his skin and not straight up or in the wrong way. So you can tell he doesn't really like it, but you have to do it. You have to get him nice and dry, because if you leave a long-haired dog moist, it can cause a whole lot of problems with, you know, their skin. So I've only taped this half side of him getting blow dried because of, you know, battery issues. My battery doesn't last that long. It lasts maybe 40 minutes or so, maybe an hour, I don't know. But all I did after the blow dry was, you know, just cleaned him up, trimmed anything off that sticked out. I used my thinning shears. I don't use them a lot, but this is a breed you would use them on. You don't want to see any harsh lines on them. They, you know, they don't require it. It's just more of a soft look for them. So just trimmed up anything I didn't want. and did a last de-shed on him. I used again my king coat on him and just went over everything quickly because we have already done the pre-bath, and you can already tell how shiny his coat is, and that's because all of this dead hair is out and you can see the top hair and it's nice and healthy, so that's why it's nice and shiny. I don't use any shine products on dogs. I just find it sometimes unnecessary, and I don't know, maybe I'll change my mind in the future. I'll have to try one out that I really love. So anyways, here's a after picture, and thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this one, and stay safe out there and happy grooming. Bye!